Let's get you more details of this attack. How did it really happen and where did it really happen? Dera Ki Gali, in fact, it's about 143 kilometers, in fact, from Srinagar. The capital essentially is where this attack took place. Dera Ki Gali to Jammu, the region, the distance between these two areas is about 173 kilometers. Also, Rajouri to Dera Ki Gali and the army convoy essentially was headed at that point in time, at about 3:45, when this attack took place to Baflias. This is in fact the area where the attack took place, and you can see the army convoy essentially was targeted in this particular region. Look at the distance from Dera Ki Gali and to Baflias. This is from where the convoy was moving, headed towards the Baflias region. And the army convoy was targeted at that point in time. Terrorists fired from a hilltop is what we know, and that's the reason why they had an advantage, because they were at a position where they could rain in the bullets. Also, 4 Jawans, as we know, were killed unfortunately in this attack, and 3 Jawans sustained injuries. Kamaljeet Sandhu is getting us more details on that story. Kamal, in fact, this is an ongoing operation like we've understood from your reports and from Sunil's reports. Do give us a sense of how things are right now and what does it look like in terms of neutralizing the terrorists. The operation essentially is ongoing.
While Sunil is in Thana Mandi in Rajouri, I'm in Dhangri. This is the location of January 1st and January 2nd terror attack, in which 7 civilians were killed by terrorists right behind me in those particular areas, that particular village itself. Now, what we know is that these are very difficult terrain. Now, if we try and show you the hillocks, it may just appear not so dominating as the one we've seen in Kashmir, but these are Pir Panjal range, which have green foliage, a thick cover under which the terrorists do disappear. Now, it does seem that they have planned it out very strategically, and even though the Indian Army had planned an operation in Thana Mandi in Rajouri on the 20th, this particular firing or the targeting of the vehicle, of 2 vehicles, the gypsy and the army truck, took place on the 21st at 3:45. So it's on the daylight when this attack took place. And if you look at a certain pattern in the past few months, if you put it approximately 26 months, 8 such terror attacks place have taken alone in Rajouri, Poonch area. So there seems to be a tactical shift by Pakistan-based operatives, mostly Lashkar-e-Taiba, who's been operating in this particular area, to move away from Kashmir to this particular terrain. The other is the region just across the POK. The line of control is not too far. If you talk about similarities in terms of language, in terms of the way they look, that is how they get integrated. But it does seem that there seems to be some sort of logistical support coming in. So we have been told that it is likely the same old module with 2 Pakistani and perhaps a local help, with the others coming in and joining hand, and that is where an ambush-style targeting took place. But meanwhile, what Indian Army has done is they have, over the past 1 year, carried hundreds of operation intelligence-based. But this one is particularly a little more difficult, is simply, as Sunil was pointing out, because of the terrain, because of the thick foliage, and even if they're sending in drones, it's very difficult to spot any sort of a person. And in Kokernag earlier this year, we saw how drones were put into service, even though they were weaponized drones, and there were obviously the surveillance drones being put into service. But these terrains are extremely tough. Also, going ahead and working on inputs is something that they're looking at. Clearly, there seems to be pressure, and we've seen the DGP, the top officers, Anand Jain, IG Jammu, who were there. So all of them have been putting in, they're going to be obviously some sort of strategy which will be put in work. But meanwhile, it does seem that there is a temporary setback. And remember, Indian Army has faced those sort of sacrifices, but they've always come back, and the number of kills themselves point out to that direction. 27 kills is what the Indian Army and security forces have got in Jammu alone. We've been told at least 25 of them have been foreign terrorists. So Pakistan trying to send in as many terrorists as possible closer to New Year. The numbers of kill remain 4 to 5. So they know that beyond a certain point there would be a heavy retaliation coming in from India, and that is why they pick and choose the targets as well. But clearly this is something that the Ministry of Home Affairs has taken care of, and that's Zero Terror Policy 2026 is a date which has been set. But meanwhile, tactically, Indian Army security forces trying to put pressure on the terror-based operatives to ensure that these kind of operation, and they're also flushed out. Any sort of fire which comes out gives out their location. But meanwhile, we also see that once in a while there is a setback to the Indian Army, and this is what has happened even in this particular place. But security forces extremely confident that situation is under control and they will be able to flush out these terrorists.
Well, in fact, I'm going to thank you for the moment for getting us that detailed report, Kamaljeet Sandhu, with that story on what really happened and an overview of the current situation in this particular region. Remember, Rajouri continues to be vulnerable. Let's get you details of what really essentially happened there. Now, on the 20th of December, the operation was underway in Dera Ki Gali in Rajouri, essentially, which unfortunately has become the epicenter now of terror attacks. On the 21st of December, 3:45 p.m. is when two army vehicles carrying troops are moving to the operation site, essentially. It was while this movement was happening that they were, in fact, they were attacked, essentially. The army vehicles were fired upon by terrorists, and how this was done was that this was essentially from at an advantage point, right from the top, a hilltop where they fired the bullets. Indian troops retaliated. In this, 4 army jawans have been killed in action and 3 have been injured.